Hello, everyone. This is not just another video. This is a wake-up call. Our planet is in crisis, and humanity stands at a critical turning point. What you're about to see could change the way you think about our future. Watch closely. Your actions after this might just determine the fate of the world. The world as we know it teeters on the edge of an unprecedented crisis. This is not a baseless claim, nor an alarmist exaggeration. It is a dire warning grounded in emerging evidence and unfolding events that demand immediate and collective action. Our interconnected systems of technology, environment, and society are unraveling at an alarming pace. If we do not act decisively and comprehensively, humanity may face consequences we are ill-prepared to handle. Imagine for a moment the systems that keep our civilization functioning. From the internet that connects billions, to the power grids lighting cities, and the satellites monitoring the skies, these systems form the backbone of our modern world. Yet these very systems are becoming vulnerable, overwhelmed by threats we once thought distant or manageable. Cyber attacks are growing more sophisticated, targeting critical infrastructure with the potential to plunge entire nations into chaos. Climate change, once seen as a distant issue, is now manifesting in catastrophic floods, fires, and storms, disrupting lives and economies on a global scale. And then there is the looming specter of artificial intelligence, a force that, while promising great advancements, also carries the risk of spiraling beyond our control. The warning signs are all around us, but we've chosen to look away, distracted by the pace of daily life. Glaciers are melting faster than predicted, sea levels are rising, and biodiversity is disappearing at rates unseen in human history. In our cities, the air we breathe grows more polluted, and the weather becomes increasingly erratic. It's not just the environment under strain, societies themselves are fracturing. Political unrest, economic inequality, and mass disinformation campaigns are fueling divisions that weaken the very fabric of our communities. The situation is no longer theoretical. Real disasters are unfolding. Power grids in some regions have already buckled under the strain of extreme weather events. Entire ecosystems are collapsing, from coral reefs to rainforests, leaving ripple effects on agriculture, water supplies, and human health. Hackers have infiltrated financial systems, healthcare networks, and even defense operations, proving that no system is invulnerable. Meanwhile, the unchecked development of autonomous systems raises existential questions about control, ethics, and responsibility. Humanity is at a crossroads. This is not a time for complacency or denial. We must pause and assess the path we're on. This requires unprecedented global cooperation, where nations, organizations, and individuals come together to prioritize survival over profit, unity over division, and responsibility over convenience. It's not about rejecting technology, but ensuring it is harnessed ethically and sustainably. It's not about stopping progress, but recalibrating it to serve the long-term good of humanity and the planet. To achieve this, we must shut down the reckless systems and processes driving us toward the brink. This doesn't mean abandoning technology or returning to a pre-modern existence. It means taking a hard, immediate pause on activities that exacerbate environmental destruction, technological misuse, and societal division. Governments must impose stricter regulations on industries responsible for large-scale emissions. Corporations must be held accountable for their environmental and social impacts. Individuals, too, must embrace change, from adopting sustainable habits to demanding accountability from leaders and institutions. This is not a call for despair, but a rallying cry for action. The challenges ahead are daunting, but they are not insurmountable. History has shown that humanity is capable of extraordinary resilience and innovation when united by a common purpose. We must rise to this occasion with urgency, determination, and hope. The stakes have never been higher, and the decisions we make today will echo through generations to come. To turn this tide, we must begin by acknowledging the gravity of the crisis. Ignorance is no longer an excuse, and denial only accelerates our descent into catastrophe. Every day of inaction compounds the damage, making the recovery harder and the losses deeper. Our first step is to halt the destructive systems we have allowed to run unchecked. Governments must initiate immediate moratoriums on activities that degrade the planet, from deforestation to excessive fossil fuel extraction. Simultaneously, we need to freeze the development of technologies that lack proper ethical oversight, especially in the fields of artificial intelligence and genetic engineering. These innovations hold immense potential, but without safeguards, they risk creating consequences we cannot reverse. It's not just about stopping harmful actions, but also about reimagining the systems that support our lives. We must transition to renewable energy sources at an unprecedented scale, invest in sustainable agriculture, and restore ecosystems that have been pushed to the brink. These solutions exist, but they require bold investment and unwavering commitment. This is no longer about political convenience or short-term gains, it's about survival. Education and awareness must also become a cornerstone of this movement. The more people understand the interconnectedness of our challenges, the more they can participate in meaningful change. Schools, media, and community leaders must work together to spread knowledge and empower individuals to act. This is not a fight for scientists or activists alone. It is a fight for everyone, everywhere. We must also confront the inequalities that make this crisis even more devastating. Vulnerable communities are already bearing the brunt of climate disasters, economic instability, and health crises. Justice must be at the heart of our response. Wealthy nations and corporations must step up to support those who lack the resources to adapt and rebuild. Solidarity is not just a moral imperative, it's the only way we can move forward as a global community. The road ahead will not be easy. There will be resistance from those who profit from the status quo, from those who fear change, and from those who simply don't believe in the urgency of the situation. But we cannot let fear or inertia dictate our future. Humanity has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges before and emerged stronger. This is our moment to prove once again that we are capable of greatness. The call to shut down everything is not about creating chaos. It's about halting the forces driving us toward ruin and creating space for a new beginning. It's about pausing, reflecting, and rebuilding in a way that honors the interconnectedness of all life on Earth. Every one of us has a role to play, and the time to act is now. The urgency of this moment cannot be overstated. The signs are all around us, but too often they're ignored in favor of convenience, profit, or denial. Forests are burning, oceans are rising, and the delicate balance of ecosystems that support life is unraveling before our eyes. The message is clear. The time to act is now, or it will be too late to reverse the damage. This isn't just about preserving the planet for future generations. It's about ensuring the survival of humanity itself. The systems we've built, the technologies we've developed, and the societies we've shaped have brought incredible progress. But they've also brought devastating consequences. If we don't confront these challenges head-on, we risk losing everything. Picture a world where natural disasters are no longer rare events, but constant realities, where food and water scarcity are the norm, and where social unrest becomes a daily occurrence. This is not a distant dystopia. It is the reality we're hurtling toward unless we act decisively. The interconnected nature of today's world means that a collapse in one area can trigger a cascade of crises elsewhere. A failing ecosystem can lead to food shortages, economic instability, and mass migrations, putting unimaginable strain on governments and societies. The solution begins with a complete rethinking of how we live, produce, and consume. It requires courage to challenge entrenched systems of power and privilege. Governments must prioritize the health of the planet and its people over corporate interests. Corporations must take responsibility for their role in this crisis and lead the charge in sustainable practices. Communities must come together, rejecting division and embracing collaboration. Every small action matters, but individual efforts alone cannot solve the crisis. We need systemic change, and that starts with demanding accountability from leaders and decision-makers. Protest, petition, and vote for policies that address climate change, regulate technological development, and protect vulnerable populations. Use your voice to amplify the urgency of this message. At the same time, innovation and creativity must drive our path forward. Scientists, engineers, and thinkers have the tools to create solutions, but they need support and funding. Renewable energy, carbon capture technologies, sustainable agriculture, and circular economies are just the beginning. The challenge lies not in finding solutions, but in implementing them on a global scale before time runs out. As we face these monumental challenges, it's essential to remember why we're fighting. This is not just about preserving resources or maintaining comforts. It's about saving the wonder and beauty of life itself. It's about ensuring that future generations can walk through forests, swim in clean oceans, and gaze up at clear, star-filled skies. It's about protecting the fragile web of life that sustains us all. If you've reached this point and still feel the weight of this warning, it means there's hope. Awareness is the first step, but it is not enough. Action must follow. Let this moment be a call to arms, a declaration that humanity will not stand idly by as our world crumbles. The power to change lies within each of us, but it will take collective effort to steer our course away from disaster. Imagine a world where we take the bold steps needed to avert catastrophe. A world where innovation serves humanity rather than exploits it, where progress is measured not by profits but by the well-being of all living beings. Picture cities powered entirely by renewable energy, forests regrowing and flourishing, and oceans teeming with life once more. This future is not out of reach. It is possible if we act with urgency and determination. To achieve this, we must begin by addressing the root causes of the crises we face. Fossil fuel dependence must end. Investments in renewable energy must accelerate, and nations must work together to phase out coal, oil, and gas. No longer can short-term profits justify long-term destruction. This will require sacrifices, but they pale in comparison to the cost of inaction. Agriculture, too, must be transformed. The industrial farming practices that strip the land of nutrients, poison the water, and emit massive amounts of greenhouse gases must give way to regenerative techniques. We need to protect and restore ecosystems, planting trees, preserving wetlands, and safeguarding biodiversity. These efforts will not only combat climate change, but also provide a more stable foundation for food and water security. Our technological advancements must also be scrutinized. Artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and automation are tools with incredible potential, but they must be developed with caution and foresight. The question is not whether we can innovate, but whether we should, and how we can ensure that these advancements benefit humanity as a whole, rather than a select few. The social fabric of our world must also be repaired. Inequality, misinformation, and political polarization are tearing communities apart. We must foster dialogue, understanding, and collaboration across borders, ideologies, and cultures. Education and transparency are key to rebuilding trust and empowering people to participate in the solutions. Above all, this moment calls for leadership, true leadership. Leaders must rise who prioritize the well-being of the planet and its people over personal gain or political expediency. These leaders must inspire action, make difficult decisions, and guide humanity through this perilous time. But leadership is not confined to those in positions of power. Each of us has the ability to lead in our own communities, in our families, and in our daily lives. The road ahead will be challenging, but it is not impossible. History has shown that humanity can achieve greatness when united by a common purpose. From overcoming wars to eradicating diseases, we have proven time and again that we are capable of extraordinary resilience. Now we must summon that same spirit to confront the greatest challenge of our time. Let this be the moment we draw a line in the sand. Let this be the moment we say, enough. No longer will we accept the destruction of our planet. No longer will we allow apathy and greed to dictate our future. Together, we will shut down the forces of harm and rebuild a world that is just, sustainable, and thriving. The weight of this moment presses on all of us, but it must not paralyze us. Fear can be a powerful motivator when transformed into action. Let it ignite within you a determination so fierce that it refuses to accept a future defined by destruction. Let this fear drive us to rise beyond our divisions, beyond our complacency, and beyond our limits. For in every crisis lies an opportunity, a chance to redefine what it means to be human. This is not merely about survival, it is about awakening to a higher purpose. Imagine a humanity united not by the bonds of fear or necessity, but by a shared vision of hope and renewal. Imagine a world where the vast potential of our intellect, creativity, and compassion is directed not toward conflict or consumption, but toward healing and progress. This is the world we must fight for. The steps forward will demand courage. It means standing up to powerful institutions and individuals who resist change for the sake of profit and control. It means confronting uncomfortable truths about our own habits and lifestyles, recognizing how we've contributed to this crisis, and committing to doing better. Each of us has a responsibility, and each of us has a role to play. For those with influence, now is the time to wield it responsibly. Governments must implement policies that protect the planet and its people. Bold climate agreements, strict regulations on polluting industries, and support for clean energy innovation. Corporations must cease prioritizing short-term gains over the long-term survival of humanity. They must become leaders in sustainability, transparency, and ethical practices. For those with less visible power, ordinary citizens, workers, students, and families, your role is no less critical. Demand accountability from those in charge. Use your voice, your vote, and your choices as a consumer to push for change. Speak out, organize, and refuse to accept a future built on destruction. Teach the next generation to value the earth and its wonders, to see themselves as stewards rather than exploiters. Even the smallest actions can ripple outward. Choosing to reduce waste, conserve resources, and support local initiatives may seem insignificant in the face of such monumental challenges, but collectively, these actions create momentum. They build a culture of care, a movement of millions who refuse to let apathy win. As we press forward, we must also embrace the power of hope. Hope is not blind optimism. It is the belief that our actions can make a difference, that the future is not yet written. It is the light that guides us through the darkness, reminding us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, we have the capacity to overcome. This journey will not be without sacrifice. There will be setbacks, resistance, and moments of doubt. But we cannot let these deter us. We owe it to ourselves, to future generations, and to the countless species that share this planet to keep fighting. Remember this: we are not powerless. We are not doomed, at least not yet. The tools to save our world are within our reach. The knowledge, the technology, and the collective will exist. What remains is for us to act. Let this be the moment history remembers, not as the beginning of the end, but as the turning point. Let it be the time when humanity rose to the challenge and proved that our capacity for destruction is matched only by our capacity for creation and renewal. The future is ours to shape, but the window of opportunity is closing fast. This is the final call to action. Stand together, stand strong, and stand up for the world we all share. Time is running out. The choice is yours. Will you fight for life? Will you fight for hope? Will you fight for the future? The question that remains is simple yet profound. What will you do? Will you let this moment pass, dismissing it as someone else's problem? Or will you recognize that every decision you make, no matter how small, contributes to the outcome of this battle? This is not a burden meant for the shoulders of a few. It is a responsibility shared by every single one of us. The challenges are immense, but so is the potential for change. It begins with a single step, a single choice to care, to act, to refuse to give in to apathy. It begins with you. Whether you are a teacher, a parent, a worker, a student, a leader, or someone who feels invisible in the grand scheme of things, your voice matters. Your actions matter. Together, we form a collective power capable of turning the tide. Close your eyes for a moment and think of what's at stake. The laughter of children playing under blue skies, the forests alive with the sound of birds and insects, the vast, endless oceans brimming with life, the simple beauty of a quiet sunrise, promising a new day. This is what we stand to lose if we fail to act. This is what we are fighting for. Imagine a future where humanity learned from its mistakes, where we embrace not only innovation, but also responsibility. A future where cities coexist with nature, powered by clean energy and designed for harmony rather than exploitation. A future where every child grows up breathing clean air, drinking pure water, and knowing that they are part of something greater than themselves. But that future will not come to us. It must be built. It will require persistence and courage, for the forces working against change are deeply entrenched. Those who profit from destruction will fight to maintain the status quo. They will spread doubt, fear, and misinformation to keep us divided and distracted. But we cannot let them succeed. The path forward will test us in ways we cannot yet imagine. It will require sacrifices, compromises, and unwavering determination. But it will also inspire innovation, unity, and a deeper understanding of what it means to be human. We will not only be saving our planet, we will be saving ourselves, our dignity, our purpose, our connection to the world and to each other. The weight of the decision is not just on the shoulders of those in positions of power, but on all of us. Every choice, every action, no matter how small, has an impact. This is the moment where we must reflect on who we are as a species and what legacy we want to leave. Will we be remembered as the generation that turned a blind eye, allowing the world to fall apart because we were too busy, too selfish, too divided? Or will we be remembered as the generation that stood up, united in purpose, to rewrite the story of humanity and our planet? The truth is, we are all connected. The Earth is not just a resource for our exploitation. It is a living system that sustains us. When we damage one part of it, we damage ourselves. The air, the water, the soil, all of these elements nourish us. And when we harm them, we harm our very ability to survive. This interconnectedness is not a theory. It is a fundamental truth. The way we treat the planet is directly reflected in our well-being. What we're facing today is not just a series of isolated issues, but a complex web of crises. Climate change, environmental degradation, social inequality, political instability, and technological dangers all stem from the same root cause: a disregard for the balance of life and an over-reliance on systems that prioritize short-term gain over long-term sustainability. It's time to change this mindset. We cannot keep waiting for someone else to act. This is our moment to take responsibility. Every individual, every community, every organization, and every government must do their part. It starts with a simple truth. We are all in this together. Whether you live in a bustling city or a remote village, whether you're wealthy or struggling, the health of the planet affects you. And the way we address this crisis will shape the future for everyone, everywhere. It's time to demand a new way of thinking. We cannot afford to continue with business as usual. The old systems that serve only the few while harming the many must be dismantled. The new systems must prioritize collective well-being, sustainable practices, and an equitable future. This is not just an environmental movement. It is a movement for social justice, for equality, for life itself. Let us not be distracted by the voices that tell us that change is impossible or too difficult. Yes, it will be hard. Yes, it will require sacrifice, but it will also bring new opportunities for growth, for innovation, for connection. It will create a world where no one is left behind, where nature is not something to be conquered, but something to be cherished and protected. A world where progress doesn't come at the expense of the most vulnerable, but lifts them up. Now is the time to redefine what success looks like. Success is not about how much wealth we accumulate or how many resources we consume. It's about how well we nurture our world and care for each other. It's about creating a society that values wisdom over wealth, compassion over competition, and sustainability over excess. This is not a distant problem that we can ignore. It's happening now, and it is intensifying. But this crisis also presents an incredible opportunity to reshape our future. We can build a world where we live in harmony with the Earth, where technology is used to enhance our lives without exploiting the planet, and where every individual is empowered to contribute to the common good. If we come together, there is no challenge too great. If we unite, there is no threat we cannot overcome. The systems that threaten our survival can be changed. The future we want is within our grasp, but only if we act, and act now. Time is running out. The choices we make today will define the future for centuries to come. Let this be the time when humanity proves its worth, not by continuing down the path of destruction, but by choosing a future that is sustainable, just, and hopeful. Let us rise to the challenge, not as separate factions, but as one united species, bound together by the recognition that we are all part of this world. We cannot afford to fail. We cannot afford to wait. The time to act is now. This is not just a call to action. It is a call to awakening. To awaken to our responsibility, to our potential, and to the incredible power we hold when we act as one. The world is watching, and future generations will either thank us for our courage or mourn our failure. We have the chance to make history. The choice is ours. The time is now.